Here now, three of the people contributing to the conservative campaign to stop Donald Trump. Dana Loesch, the host of Dana on the Blaze TV. Brent, Bozell, the chairman of the group For America. That's the nation's largest online conservative network. And Pavlich, who's a Fox News contributor and news editor of townhall.com. Dana, let me start with you. Glenn has got the first piece in this. You also add your 2 cents, saying you were on the lines with the Tea Party, standing with the placards out on the sidewalks. You didn't see Donald Trump there.
Now, and Megan, you know, to that point, I was on that first phone call the night that we were all, a group of us were planning the first Tea Party rallies and founding the modern day Tea Party movement. I didn't stand out, I didn't phone bank, and I didn't go door to door for an increased mandate for ethanol. I didn't do it for eminent domain. I did it for principles over popularity. And when I'm looking at this primary, I feel as though that a lot of this has turned into popularity over principles. That's what conservatism is. It's principle. I know Donald Trump. I think he's a nice guy. I think he's got a fantastic family. But that's not enough, to me anyway, to win over the White House. I want someone who's a great leader and is a staunch conservative, and I don't have to question their authenticity.
Brent, you know what's happening right now. A lot of Trump supporters are watching this saying, these people are establishment. They don't get it. We just want someone who can go in there and screw with Washington the way they feel their lives have been messed with.
Look, Megan, anyone who knows me knows I was fighting the establishment well before fighting the establishment was cool. I was fighting the establishment with the Buchanan Brigades in 1992. So why are we speaking out about this? To suggest that Trump has had some kind of road to Damascus transformation just isn't true. Look, Ronald Reagan spent 16 years working for conservative principles, giving speeches, traveling around the country, raising money for conservative organizations, supporting Barry Goldwater, doing all those things that advanced the conservative movement for decades before he ran for president. Donald Trump did none of it until 3 months ago. Up until 3 months ago, this was a man who said he was a proud Democrat. This is a man who said he was a proud supporter of Hillary Clinton. This is a man who said he was a proud supporter of Planned Parenthood. This is what he said he was. So I think people have to say, okay, it's been a lot of fun up until now, but do we care only about rattling the cages in Washington, or do we as conservatives want to fundamentally change this course of destruction that we're on? And Donald Trump has no record of ever supporting any of these things.
Katie, the pieces talk about, this is from Bill Kristol, that he's the very epitome of vulgarity, saying this is another piece, that he is whatever he pleases to be at the moment, the only principle being the triumph of his will. It's a harsh litany of accusations against him. Does it run any risk of having the opposite of its intended effect, having the Trump supporters say, that's it, we're dug in even more, these people don't understand us?
Well, look, I think that there's a lot of people who are supporting Donald Trump who are going to continue to support Donald Trump. But as we're seeing with the race in Iowa, there is a rift between Donald Trump and people who are looking at Ted Cruz as a conservative option. Again, this does go back to principles. We have to ask ourselves here whether we are willing to set the precedent with Donald Trump and just throwing away years and years and decades and centuries of conservative principles and values simply because a candidate comes in and says all of the right things.
He says he is a conservative. He says he is.
But he's not, Megan. But he can say that he is, just like he says he is a lot of things. But the fact is that Donald Trump, his liberal past is not behind him. In fact, he has gone out on the current campaign trail and espoused liberal ideas and big government propositions and proposals. So to say that his liberal past is behind him and that he's somehow changed and he's a conservative just doesn't mesh with the facts. Conservatives historically have prided themselves on voting on records and voting for candidates who have been loyal to the Constitution and loyal to conservative principles.
Brent,
Donald Trump is not that candidate.
One of the arguments in this piece, Brent, talks about how they believe that Trump is, quote, the living, breathing, this is from Michael Medved, the living, breathing, bellowing personification of all the nasty characteristics Democrats routinely ascribe to Republicans. This is something you hear sometimes from some Republicans opposed to Trump, that he's influencing an upcoming generation of young people who are deciding what they are, and that he's not the best brand for the Republican Party. Your thoughts on it?
Well, I think he's, look, frankly, President Trump would be a terrible face of America to the world. This is a man who takes everything personally. Everything is about himself. He's an absolute narcissist. He's doing what he thinks he needs to do to win the presidency for himself. I'm surprised he's not going to call it the Trump White House when he wins. This is what he cares about. If this were a race, I would say to my fellow conservative, if this were a race between Jeb Bush and Donald Trump, you've got an argument maybe because you know where Jeb Bush stands. But in fact, there are several conservatives in this race. In fact, personally speaking, I've endorsed Ted Cruz for the reason that he is the real conservative in this race with the real record and a past and a future and real programs.
Dana,
Donald Trump, what are his programs?
To those people who are sitting out there, because you're a Tea Partier. I mean, you were out there. To those Tea Partiers who are saying, you guys are Republican establishment. We love them. There's nothing you can say that's going to change our mind. What say you?
Well, Megan, are you talking to me? Because
Yeah,
you know, I would say this. First off, I'm not a registered Republican because I haven't thought that they were conservative enough for a very long time. I've never gone out there and said, you know what? I really think that we need to subsidize big corn out in Iowa. We need to subsidize ethanol. We need to call for an increase in that mandate. That is not a conservative principle. There is no way that you look at it, Megan, that what he called for this week on the campaign trail, that is not conservative. It is not conservative to bastardize the Fifth Amendment and say that eminent domain, we can actually collude with private businesses and not for public use to go after private property owners and take their property without even fair compensation or just compensation as it's written constitutionally. As far as the Second Amendment, look, I love conversions. I hope that he's a convert on this issue because this is an issue close to my heart. I'm here at SHOT Show right now. This is the first time I've ever known Donald Trump to make an appearance at any kind of gun show, whether it's NRA or SHOT Show. He was for the assault weapons ban a couple of years ago. Is it an authentic conversion? And that is not bad or establishment to ask.
It's great to see you all.
Thanks, Brian.